Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation Show. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisfitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation Show. It's your Thursday after dinner show. Thank you for taking some of your time on this Thursday to hang out with the Misfit Nation and all the Misfit Nation audience around the world, especially my three listeners in Nepal as they get ready to climb this week. Good luck to you guys and be safe. Today, we don't have any updates on our end of watch site, which is a good thing. I'm glad this is our first show in a while where we don't have to update our end of watch. So let's try to keep that trend alive. Keep loving your friends, love your brothers, love your sisters, and be kind to those around you. Know the people you know and be the people you're supposed to be. Tonight we have a great guest. He's a U.S. Navy veteran, an exceptional and well-informed public speaker who offers a wealth of experience and expertise. With his diverse background and perspectives, he can add significant value to any event or conference. He's an expert of several topics, including the mortgage industry, sales training, leveraging unique qualities to stand out from competition, strategies for achieving financial freedom, real estate education and financial literacy, and much more. So without further ado, let's welcome Ed Parcaut to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Ed.
Hey, thanks for having me. And just so we're clear, it's Parcaut. That's okay. It's never been right my whole life, so it's not a big deal.
That way, after I dropped this both times, I didn't ask him how to say his last name.
That's okay. I'm used to it not being right because it's French, so it never is right. So
I'll just call you Ed from now on. It's easier.
That works. That
works. So Ed, I gave a little bit about you right there. If you don't mind, tell the Misfit Nation a little about you from as far back as you want to go through your Navy career to how we got here.
Well, that'd take forever. I'll just start with I'm in California in Modesto. I went to I'll start with my dad was a Vietnam vet. He worked on planes over there. He died of hairy cell leukemia when I was 12 because of Agent Orange. And, we won't get into the government and all that stuff because we know how that works. And we were in Turlock, California. And I grew up there and I worked on my grandfather's dairy. And I realized I didn't want to do that hard work, outside in the summers here. So I decided to join the Navy, see the world, and I got to see Camp Pendleton. So I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, the hospital, but I did a lot of the stuff with the Marines. I ended up going to specialty schools and went into physical therapy. And that was at Fort Sam, Houston, Texas, and then came back to Camp Pendleton and stayed there my whole time. While I was in, I learned that you can get your, bachelor's, and then I started working on my master's and ended up finishing both of those. Right. I finished my master's 1 year after I got out. And that's, I think a lot of people need to figure out when they go in the military, what's their long-term goal for the military? Because we go there for one purpose, but you need to it. And, I look at it this way. So I was in the late 80s, early 90s, and I was in San Diego, and this was brought up to me on my show. I have another podcast called Helping the Brave. I do kind of the same thing like you do. I'm talking to vets and everything about the service. And we were talking and we brought it up. And I totally forgot that when I was down there were signs in the grass in San Diego that said, keep your cellar and your dog off our lawn. Wow. And and then we had 9/11. Everybody loves us again. And now we're kind of going the other way with the current administration. I'm not going to get political. I'm just saying you can see the changes in certain things. I feel it's very important for us to help all vets, period, because of the fact that nobody cares about us, but we do. We care about ourselves and our family, and other people care about us, and we need to do more for veterans as much as possible. I know I jumped a long way to what I'm trying to talk about, but I was a president of my Rotary last year, and it just finished in the end of June. And my goal that year was to let the community know about veteran suicide. And when I first started the year, I was telling people it's 22 a day. And then by the time I got to the end, I realized from talking to so many people, it's more like 50 a day if you really count the number. And that is huge. And people don't realize that. One of the things we did that year was we put together a firewalk event for veterans. It was a 2-day event, 2 separate days. You came for a couple motivational speakers. At the end of the night, you walked on coals. It changed a lot of veterans' life. My purpose was one veteran. I don't care. I just wanted to help one veteran. We ended up helping a lot more than that. And we're doing it again this year in May. So May 3rd, 2025. Come out to Modesto. I'll get the information. It's operationfirewalk.com.
Is that with Dave Albin?
Yeah, we had him come out and we just to run that. He has it on the calendar to come out, but I'm working on 4 different keynote speakers this year. All veterans who've been through something and on the other side, and how they can help us. So
Awesome.
yeah. So and then all right. So back to me. So
Right.
so when after I got out of the military, I decided to I did a few things with the military exchange systems, and then I fell into the mortgage industry. And the reason I say that because nobody goes to school saying they want to be a loan officer or do mortgages, but I like numbers. I didn't realize how much I can help people change the trajectory of their family by owning a home and what that does for the family going forward. And it's a huge change. The equity that you build and the work, bear with me, it's long of the day. I know it's 7 there, but it's only 5 here, but it's been a long day. You're looking at the wealth of the family created from this changes that household. And that's why I do what I do. I had a book come out 2 Februarys ago called Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Homeownership. Now I'm changing it to just be one just for veterans. And that should be out in the next 2 months.
Outstanding.
Because that's what I focus on now. Ever since I went through what I went through so when I first got in the business, I only did VA loans. And then I did more and then got bigger and bigger companies. And now I'm back to only helping veterans. That's all I work on. That's what I focus on. I can do a VA loan purchase in 9 days.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Outstanding.
Yeah. So and people will go, well, so most people take some 30 to 45 days. Yeah. So when I tell people that, we've had people say, there's no way I'll buy you lunch. Okay. You're buying lunch, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I like this kind of food. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I've actually that's the thing is and I got pretty heavy being the president of my Rotary that year. And now, I dropped so far since I quit, I've dropped 41 pounds. So,
of course.
Yeah. You know how it is. It's you eat, you drink, you do all this stuff. And then, our industry, we lost a third of all the loan officers out there.
Wow.
And yeah, that's a lot. That's 140 some thousand that we lost. And
wow.
that just because of how bad, how there just wasn't, we put people in such low rates and then the inflation went up and we raised the rates so high that, we got as high as 8%. That makes no sense for people to qualify and do certain things.
Right.
But anyway, that's kind of my story. I don't want to keep talking about mortgages, but I think it's important for everybody here, because you sign on the line. That is your down payment.
Right.
You signed to go to war, do what, if the war is there, you still sign. I don't care who you are. And that whole VA loan changed 2 years ago with the Blue Water Act to where now you can go up to 2.5 million with no money down.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Most lenders limit it at 1.5, but technically with what the VA says, you can go as high as you want. So you can go as high as jumbo. And a lot of people, and then also, in where we are, we have, termites, right? And so before that, a veteran couldn't pay for any pest work. Well, now they can, but you don't even want to do, there's a short form pest report that you do that VA only requires. You only do that. It says no active pests and you can deal with the other stuff later. So,
definitely. Yes. Yeah. I did not know about the 2.5 million either.
Yeah. It's a totally different loan now. It's just like a regular loan, but better because the default rate on VA loans is the lowest default rate of any loan out there.
Wow.
Yeah, because we say we're going to do, and we do it.
Definitely, yeah. And we had the intestinal fortitude to go through with our obligation to pay that loan off,
right?
Or at least stay in the house until we sell it and buy something new.
Right. And a lot of people I tell people, if you're buying your first property, buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex with your VA loan. And people think you can't. You can. The only thing you can't do is use the rents to qualify. You can use the rents later to pay your bills, but you can't use them to qualify.
That leads to a question I have. I know if you're in a VA loan, you can still get another one up to the total amount, but do you have to still pay the down payment on the other amount, or is it still zero up?
It depends on, again, so they really on that, they focus on the large conforming loan limit, right? So say I think it's 726. Here's what I do in my industry. I don't try to remember anything anymore because it changes daily so much, or by the next day. So I just go quickly search it and I know, but it's right around 726, 500 if I'm right, or 250. So they'll look at that. So if your current loan's 250,000, you're going for another loan for 400,000, there is no down payment.
Okay.
But if you're going for a $700,000 loan and you have a 250 already, there could be 25% of the difference that you have to come in with. 20. So if it was $100,000 difference, you have to come in 25 grand.
Right.
But again, it's, or you know, depending on what you're trying to do, there's many, but for most people, you can buy multiple properties and then people refinance them and pay off one of them, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. So
But you can't. I've had many people. I had just somebody come from North Carolina, transferred out here to be a recruiter, and we helped them buy a house, and they didn't have any money to put down. So, no, I mean they didn't have to come up with anything. It's the same thing. Yeah. And what's nice about the whole thing is, for most people, you put an earnest money deposit down and you get it back.
Right.
It's no money into that thing. I don't want to get into the whole new buyer broker agreements and everything else that just changed with the whole that system, but it's still going to be that way. It's there 1% of the time will it be different.
I know here, even though this is a very veteran laden town with Fort Campbell right here, right on the borderland of Kentucky and Tennessee here, you have a full division here, and a lot of the lenders and realtors try to push people, veterans especially, away from using their VA loan to use something that their friends are pushing. So education is what is needed for a lot of these veterans as they come out, or even the active duty guys and gals who are in there trying to get those homes as well.
I don't know why they would. It's here. The VA loan for, during the 80s and 90s was horrible, right? It was not enough to buy a good neighborhood.
Right.
That was the problem. That's changed. You want to do this, but a lot of people will push a veteran into a FHA loan. No, there's mortgage insurance on that. A VA loan has no mortgage insurance. But also during the when everything was so crazy, veterans couldn't get into homes because people didn't think they had money. Well, a lot of veterans have money. They just don't have to put it down. And it's about educating the listing agents, the buyer's agents, and everybody else. Hey, they do have the money. They just don't have to use it. If they need to come in with 10 grand more to get the house, they'll do that. Not that I want them to do that, but I'm just saying that they can. It's the best loan because there's no mortgage insurance. All those other ones will have mortgage insurance. That's a monthly thing saying that there's a guarantee that you'll pay that back. That's what the mortgage insurance is on a monthly basis. Veterans, we have a funding fee, but if you're 10% or greater disabled, you don't have the funding fee. And if you're going through the process right now, buying a home, and you're going through the process of getting your disability, don't wait. Just close on the house, and then they'll send you your money back.
Okay.
The VA funding fee. Yeah. I had a guy he goes, I just got a check for $11,000 from the VA. And it said on there, we noticed that you just got your disability. We're giving you back your VA funding fee.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome when they give back. I like that. That's all. I think every one of us loves that when they give back. Well, we don't like when they say you have to give, but it's much better when they give back and they own up to it and give it back without you having to ask for it.
Well, they could have just kept it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, but they did the right thing, which is unusual for the VA to do the right thing. I'm sorry. I'm a little negative on that. I interviewed a guy on one of my podcasts, and he's just like me. He wants to take that thing down to the bare minimum and then start over. So
rebuild and make it better.
Well, there's a lot of good people who work there, but just they can't stay. It's just not the way it should be. My wife works for a company out here called Kaiser. They have insurance. They're a insurance company, owns hospitals, and I'm like, why can't we do something like that where it's no longer with the VA? It's just you get the best insurance. It's 120% coverage. Take it anywhere and be done with it. And I know Trump, and this is not getting political, I know Trump said that and they were doing that, but right now there's a waiting list. You can't just go do it. You have to wait now.
They added, I think, 3 levels of bureaucracy now to get the community care or to get that kind of care. It's very, and 45 miles is the magic number now. Automatic.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. There's so much that we need to change for our veterans, and I feel the best way to do that is if you're a veteran, get into politics. You can make major changes, and also we can get along with both sides.
Yes,
we can have we can have an argument and then go have a beer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that? Why can't everyone do that? See, we're both going to we have to digress a little bit here. Come back into the show. So But you mentioned earlier about the firewalk with Dave Albin and stuff, and
Mhm.
and how you got into that, and the numbers, the sheer numbers of our brothers and sisters that we're losing. Uh, I know the broadcast number is 22 because that's a fancy number that they put out there since about 2016, 17. But you're right, it's 44 to 50 easy because they don't count in adrenaline-based deaths, overdoses, alcoholism, such like that. For us to stop that, it takes guys like me and you to do shows like this, to talk to people and get that awareness. And then you adding in the firewalk and Modesto, that's something that puts it over the top. And I give kudos to you and Dave for putting that on last year, or this year actually.
Well, he was on my podcast, and he was just said he just came off another podcast, and the lady was like, "Why have you done one just for veterans?" And he's like, "No." And then he goes on my podcast. I said, "I want to do it." The biggest problem with putting a firewalk on for veterans or anybody is if you're in the city area, you're going to get denied. I don't care what city it is and what country, county or state or whatever. You need to move it just outside of the city into the county. The county doesn't care. I fought with my city for 4 months because they didn't want to make it to where other people would want to do. I'm like, okay, well, let's have somebody who's been working with Tony Robbins for 22 years, set that as the standard. And then also for veterans, then somebody else can come in and do it again. You'll never have another one except for the one I'll put on again. Right. And so I just want to, it's not just going to be a firewalk. It's going to be, so we're going to have service officers. We're going to have many other people there to help support veterans and get them what they need, even job fair. We're going to have a lot more this year than what we first did. I kind of let them kind of run it. And then I'm like, okay, this is not going to be run this way anymore. This is going to run the way I ran my Rotary. It's a military organization. We're going to, it's like, boom, boom, boom. This is going to be done this way. And so that's why a few of the people I have coming are just going to shock people what they've been through. And do you know who Anthony Stephen Malone is?
I do not.
He's somebody you should have on your show. He's from the UK. He went undercover for us and to find out if there was Al Qaeda in this prison, and come to find out it was full of the number 2 guy for bin Laden was in there.
Wow.
And they would do on visiting days on the weekend, on Sunday would be the day they would put all their things together to figure out what they were going to attack and everything else. He found out where bin Laden was through this. He was supposed to be in there for 30 days. He was in there for 90 days. I don't want to tell everything about it. I had him on I was sent to me 3 years ago, and I had him on my podcast. All I ever said was, wow, that was everything. Just after he was telling me everything he did and everything he went through and what he found out. And I go, it's amazing that people don't know what you did for the world by doing this. And you need to get this out there. He goes, well, I couldn't for 10 years. It was, top secret.
Yep.
Right. And now he wrote a book, it's out there. But then he, to top it off, on top of all that, then he was in Afghanistan after the horrible withdrawal to help, get people out. He went back there. The problem is he had a price on his head still.
Yep.
For what he did. And he was actually captured. And luckily it was a different fraction of the Taliban. And the guy was like, you know what? That was time before. That was the other time. Here, you can go now. And yeah, he was like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, and there was like, that's your keynote. That's it. I go, no, that is just one of them. And then I'm going to have a guy who's been fighting with the VA since the 80s. And now he can make a phone call and everybody helps you no matter what it is. He's going to come and talk how he got through that and stuff like that. And a few other people. I have a gentleman who is a vet who is also a distance runner that does stuff that, freaks us out. And it's not, what's his name? So.
It's not all right. Awesome. I pulled up Anthony Malone as you were talking, and just looking at the little blurbs that they have on Google there, it's pretty interesting right away.
Yeah.
First sentence: former British elite paratrooper, CIA asset, and UK citizen.
So he was undercover, right? He's British. He was in the British Airborne and all that, right? And so he's undercover. Only us, our generals, knew that he was undercover in there. England and all that was like, we have one of our people as a high leader in the Taliban freaking out. So they did a rendition of him right after the 3rd month, right? And took him out. And then they were like, this doesn't even sound right. And they ended up calling everybody and finding out what he was doing for us. I go, did they give you a parade when you went back? And he said, no, they put me in prison for 4 years.
Of course they do.
for, embarrassing the crown.
Of course.
Of course. I go, but it was not really like a prison, because the one you were in that didn't have running water. The toilets was, he goes, yeah. I go, it was kind of like a country club at that point, right? He goes, yeah.
Of course it was. Yes. It'll be awesome though. It'd be great.
Yeah. So we're going to have 4 people like that. They're talking. It's going to be 4 hours of that, dinner, and then the walk into the night, walking on coals again. So
hopefully,
and then I want to move this across the nation. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I live in the county here, so
yeah. So I mean, it's just a matter of putting together. My goal is just to help people put it together, get the formula going, and get it to other people, and get it. Because I would like to build this to where it's like a place for everybody to come to find out more as veterans. But not everybody's going to. It needs to have one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast and one in the middle.
Yep.
So people can come to it, because I do a lot of events I go to. I'm not flying to Florida anymore. It just takes too long.
That's a whole day for you. Yeah.
Day and back. It takes, I lose 2 days. And even if I do a red eye, I still so tired in the morning. I try to sleep, but I don't sleep on the planes.
I can barely sleep on the planes. Even from watching a movie, I feel myself going down, and then I'll just pop right up and on full alert for some reason, and I just wind up staying up and waiting for the stewardess, the flight attendant, to come up and down the aisle and give snacks out and say thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's okay. We know you're older.
You gotta say the right word.
You can't put today's morals on yesteryear.
Exactly. I try though. I try to blend as much as possible, like you said before. Stay down the middle as much as possible without hitting the two, I guess, foul poles. That's the best way to put it.
Well, I just find because I do a talk radio show on iHeart, called, when it's for real estate show, it's called Real Estate Jiffy. We give you something to chew on. It then after it's put as a podcast on Monday, but it's a weekend show, and I've interviewed so many people. Plus, I do a lot of live for other people who have other shows on there, just to get better at it. You know how it is. It takes a while to be comfortable in front of a mic and with a camera on, and everybody's like, man, you're so relaxed. Well, you do 10,000 hours and you get pretty relaxed after a while. You've messed up so many times, it doesn't matter anymore.
Those are little things now. When you mess up that many times, oh, that's cool. I've done that way worse before.
Well, I also, because people ask me, do you take all the ums and ahs out of all your stuff? I'm going, all your pocket? No, just learn not to do it. And plus, people want it. I don't want to, we'll be sitting here and you go see a jerk. It's like I just did. And the thing, you're like, okay, they edited it. What did they take out? What was so bad? I don't want to see that. It's just, people like to know it's not super edited. Also, they want to know it's raw and it's real and it was live.
Right. And they want to, that's why when I would switch to the live show, people would ask, are you going to edit out any of my mistakes? No, just come in and be your true self.
Yeah. So I used to do live for 2 years, and then it just got to a point where guests stopped showing up when they were supposed to. And I'm like, okay, this, now, so we just now do it as a podcast and put it on YouTube. It still works, but I really like the live. I do a weekday show at 8:30 Monday through Friday for real estate, live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I haven't figured out how to do it on TikTok yet.
TikTok, it has to do something with their algorithm to go live on there from
well, you have to have so many likes, which I'm not likes, but so many subscribers, which it's not a problem. I had a few videos go viral, because also I learned that you don't run away from haters, you engage with them.
You become one of their, and you be in their inbox. It's the best way.
Well, they're gonna, no matter, people love you, but they're not gonna talk a lot or comment or this or that. But somebody who's irritated with you will help the algorithm, because they're going to keep coming back and keep talking to you. So.
Yeah, they'll keep hitting your DMs, I guess, finding you out and getting on your actual feed every time you post something. Yeah. I had a police officer on, a former police officer, and a former Marine, actually, former police officer, and he was on the show, the First 48. He was a cop from Louisville on there until he got hit by a car, lost his leg. Still stayed on the force, and now he's a musician. But I put his short on there, just made a little short of our YouTube, and I got so many hits on that short and so much hate email off that short. I didn't answer any of it. I was reading it. These people really hate police. Without even listening to the whole show, they hate police, and they're just showing their colors.
Yeah. Well, I would have engaged. So what a good friend of mine, Brian Galke, who does facial recognition and stuff. We do another show. It's a sales show called Aces 53, which has to do with something I learned in college, which was four aces and a joker. So your attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile. So it was an acronym. And then the joker is that unique ability you have when you're in sales. For me, I sold by the phone for years. I didn't realize I had a deeper voice until I put headphones on. And now I know why I did so well on the phone, because that was my natural. And anyway, he had a few, and we were talking about this. And so we used to just like say, hide it and move on. Well, he did it, and he went, 3 million views on one of his now, just because of just engaging with people. And that's what they talk with our show when you're on YouTube and all that, you need to engage with the comments no matter what they are. And I would just like, when mine went viral, people say he's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm like, really? No, this does not going to work everywhere. And then somebody else took it and stitched it on TikTok with theirs, and they went over 1 million with it. And just one of those things. It's, you never know. All I want to do is promote, I should say, create stuff to help veterans get into homes, get and understand the process of getting a loan. That's my goal. That's what I focus on. My weekly show is all about just the community and what we're talking about to help other LOs and other real estate agents and other stuff know what's going on with the market and anybody else. So,
and as far as helping the veterans with the VA loans and stuff, are you, I guess, handcuffed to California? Can you do it nationwide?
I am, but I'm working on, so I'm not handcuffed anymore.
Okay.
So I owned all my companies, and the problem is I just want to do certain things. I don't want to do that other stuff anymore. I just want to focus and make, and help and educate and that kind of stuff. So, and the way I'm a broker, so I could have a license in all the different states easily. If you need help, contact me. I will get you to somebody who's like me, who does it the way I do it. And I won't make any money. I'm just going to help because I'm here to help. So, but see, I have 40 million people in California. So I was like, there's enough people, and 1 in 7 loans that is done out there is done in California. So,
wow, 40 million. You shouldn't go out of business.
Well, I mean, only 44% of those people can own a home
right now,
but still, the base, we just don't have the bases we used to have. Right. And that's why a lot of companies who are doing this, they start putting little branches by every base now, and then nowhere else.
Right.
So, and just be careful with the companies who say they're here to help you. I'm not going to name them, but they're the ones you see on TV. Ads are not cheap.
Yes.
You should not, when you do a refinance like a URL, that, have you ever done a refinance or URL, which is the interest rate reduction loan, that basically if you have a VA loan, you can lower your rate without having a job. We don't put your information on there having a job or that kind of stuff. You don't have to qualify again. You just get to lower your rate. But you can do that for very inexpensive. You should only do it for the cost of whatever the escrow and title fees are. That's it. And it should be about $1,800. That's what it is in where I am. And there should be no points. Don't pay points for the refinance. It makes no sense. But most of these online companies are trying to charge 2 points plus this, plus that. Just be really careful with that.
I've seen just recently a lot of people throwing a lot of hate or shade towards some of those bigger organizations that basically prey on the veteran now, and that they use words like veteran or freedom or things like that to try to lure them in. And just like all the pawn shops that are outside every base, outside of Camp Metal,
right.
You've seen them.
Title loans,
Patriot this,
yeah.
Pawn Shop Plus, whatever. It's the same thing with that side of the house now too. And these guys and gals still bite off on it. So
because we trust.
Yeah,
we're trusting.
You see that name, you see a flag. Oh, they have to be good people.
Yeah, just go through somebody, talk to somebody that and find out who they use, and then make sure. And if they had a good experience, use them. That's easy. That's the easy way. But don't go off the postcards that come through your mailbox. Ignore all those, or TV. And it's just because I ran into one of those people. They were charging $22,000 for this refinance, and I ended up, mine was my bottom, and that was, with points and all this, and their rate was, I'm not, as an example, say it was 6.5. I was 6, and I didn't have any of those costs. Wow. So what I'm getting at is really look at. I talked about this the other day on my show. It's look at the APR. So if you ever see a rate, we have to put an APR next to it. If it's not real close together with the rate, that's a lot of points in there. Meaning, like if you have a rate of your refinancing at 5.5 and the APR is 5.625 or 5.7, that's probably okay loan. But if it shows 5.99 or 6.2 or 6.3, that means there's a lot of costs in there.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that.
One of the people in the audience wants to know what's the best way to contact you. Is it your email?
Yeah, just go to my website, edparcaut.com, or you can find me. I'm Ed Parcaut everywhere. Everywhere. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. I'm lucky I have one of those horrible last names that nobody takes. I mean, there's only like 7 of us in the country. So the easiest way is just to go to edparcaut.com and email me. That's the easiest way. So
I just shared the website in the chat, I believe. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, and so my whole thing now is to change that to just where it's all veteran centric. But I'm trying not to look like one of those people we just talked about.
Right. Don't put that the cloak and dagger, I guess, would be the best way.
Well, I mean, people don't understand. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I got out, I ran away from it. I ran away from the service. I didn't want nothing to do with the military at all anymore. And it was not like I had a bad time. It just, that's how I was, but also it was a totally different time. And so I did, and now I came back to it again because I missed people. I got around other veterans and other people. I'm like, wow, they think the same way I do. We want to be direct. We wanted this, we want that. That's exactly what, veterans want. And people, I find that I can talk better with a veteran and we can understand certain things better. And they want me to be direct and tell them the way it is, where some of the younger people I deal with, if I tell them that, they're going to run, and please don't think it's wrong, cry to their mom, or they say, we have a personality issue. No, we don't have a personality issue. I just want to make sure I don't forget to tell you something so that we make a mistake. We have to make sure that we're on this. This is about helping you all the way. I help people that have bad credit, and because a lot of veterans think, okay, they get credit issues over time, and they think, well, I just need a 580. Well, I don't want to ever do a loan for you at 580. Let's get you up to 640. That's a point difference in an interest rate.
Right.
Okay, that's a huge difference in a payment. I didn't mean to take over your show about mortgages, dude.
It's all right. People are they're excited and they're chomping at the bit right now. And that's what we look for here, is to educate the Misfit Nation. And the more tools you can give the Misfit Nation, the stronger they'll be outside. Like you said, I took a complete year off once I got out of the military, not just by choice, but mostly because people wouldn't hire me because they thought I wanted more than I did. And they would never ask me what I wanted. They just didn't want to hire me. So I was home for exactly 365 days, drinking with my dogs on the couch, just hanging out. And then I got a job with a veteran nonprofit. And I got to get back into basically hanging out with veterans. And I did that for 2 years. And now I work with the military. I'm a contractor for the Army, and I'm in an office with 3 retired Army guys. So it's just like being in, just now we get to go home at night, and we shower a lot more. So it's a lot cooler.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. And that's the biggest thing we run into when we get out, we lose our purpose. Right. And that a lot, I'm no big, and we don't ask for help. And my biggest thing for my show is, okay, well, if you were in a firefight, you would call for air support. You would call, you would call for the ships that shoot, whatever it is, you would call for that help. So why don't you do it now?
Yeah, why are you so humble now that you won't ask for help?
And I need to correct you on one thing. So I'm a Navy guy, and the Marines are a department of the Navy. There is no former Marines. They're always a Marine.
All right, there you go.
I'm sorry, it's my stuff. I got told that, years and years ago, and I'm like, you're not a formal Marine. They're always a Marine. Okay. And so I correct people.
So I've heard it both ways from people. So
yeah, I whatever works. I just,
they don't want to be called X is the only thing I was told. So, all right.
They don't want what?
Don't want to be called X.
Oh, and for me, I was a corpsman, so that was my people. So
you were Greenside. So Greenside Corpsman, Camp Pendleton, they sent you basically home just about 3 or 4 hours down the coast. So,
what are you talking about? That's 6 hours away.
It's a whole other world, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I was in Northern California. That's Southern California. That's a totally different world. That's, right out, that's right outside of Oceanside, which back then it was a totally different world. I shower a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're allowed to now. You don't have to just wake up and go all the time. So it's a different world.
But I know I brought up about the mortgage. I just think it's important for people to know that you need to use your VA loan. You need to get into a house. And right now is the perfect time. We're going to see rates drop over the next 6 months a lot, because what just came out, I don't know if you saw this, it's been all over the place. They overstated the jobs that were created this year. From March of 23 to March of 24, they overestimated by 818,000 jobs. It's actually pushed up to about 915,000. So basically, we've not created a single job in the last year.
Imagine that.
And that is what kept rates up higher, because the Fed is looking at that number to lower the rates, even though, please bear with me, what the Fed does is short-term interest rates, but it all ties together with the economy and what's going on. So it will help mortgages. We should see, 5.5 to 6, 5.75 by next year. But what I'm trying to explain to people, if you had a loan, if you got a loan in 22 to 24, you need to get ready to be refinanced. And so you need to talk to somebody and get in that place and talk to them and say, hey, this, and you guys can talk to me and I can get you the right people. But this is my strike price. Okay. You're here right now. We agree to this. Lock me at that the moment it happens and just refinance me. Because you can do a VA refinance every 210 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to, and there's rules of how much it has to go down in certain things, but they used to churn them. I mean, I've seen this where they would do it because, again, we're trusting. We would just go, oh, you can lower my payment? Yeah. And also you'll miss 2 payments, which was the biggest lie. It's you add those to your principal balance, but you don't have to make a payment or write a check for 2 months. But you need to make sure it's beneficial to you. It's saving money per month, not just to skip those payments, because a lot of people do it for those reasons.
And that's an easy selling point for people. You don't have to worry about those 2 payments. So they think, oh, it's never going to happen. And that goes back to that whole trust issue.
Yeah. Be careful. That's all I'm saying.
We love you. And you don't have to pay this now, but you'll pay double it later because the interest is compiling on it.
But but you have to look at what you're saving, and the worst thing about the VA loan is trying to lower the term. You can't do a refinance from a 30 to 15 with VA because of their guidelines. It is a weird. Yeah, it's the weirdest.
Percolate there.
Yeah, well, say you want, because during the 2020 through 2022, I took so many people from 28 years to 15 years and the payment didn't change.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they were not VA loans. The problem with VA loans is there's no cost allowed associated with it if you're doing that. So I did a bunch of them, but I did them for free.
Okay.
So, yeah. You can't do a 15-year loan today anyway. That's too high of a payment. So.
You won't be in your house much because you'll be working 24 hours a day.
Well, most people don't stay in their house longer than 7 years. We're stuck in the houses for almost 10 years because of what we went through. But most people move every 7 years. And if you're in the military, you're moving every 4 years. So keep that house, rent it out, and go buy another one. Don't get rid of any houses you buy. Keep them. That's how you build, passive income over time. And you can do it with no money down every time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Ed, we talked about the suicide thing. And do you get to speak to veterans groups where you are, or about maybe getting them to get out of their shell and talk out in a group, or is it mostly what you do through your show and through your other businesses?
Through my show, my business, and then also through Rotary. We won the Create Hope in the World award last year through my Rotary because of the firewalk we put on, and now everybody wants us to talk at their group. And I say that's because Ralph Carrasco, who is my counterpart, he ran a bunch of stuff in my Rotary. I consider it as much as his as it is my idea, but it was it was one of those things. And so we're going to be talking to everybody about that because it's a huge, major thing. I remember the first time I did my first meeting at Rotary about this in my president year, everybody was like, they could not believe the suicide rate and how bad it was.
And how much they, I guess, doctored it so it wouldn't look as bad.
Right. Because you added a bunch of stuff that they don't count, but they also don't count if you didn't write a note.
Right.
If you're not part of the VA system either.
And especially adrenaline, because a lot of the guys and gals coming back from war, they had that adrenaline high 365 days of the year, go, they come home, and it all stops. No matter if you go back to garrison or not, it stops. So you have to equate that some other way. So no matter where you are, you'll find something to do where you're on the edge of living and dying, and a lot of them don't make it past that.
I had 2 people come and speak at my Rotary Operation Surf. Have you ever heard of Operation Surf?
No.
They are a nonprofit that helps vets deal with PTSD and other things, and they teach vets, WMPTs and whatever, how to surf, just surf differently. And you can go, Resurfaced is the documentary on Netflix about it, or you can just type in Operation Surf. .com and you'll find out, but there would be somebody great for your show. I had him on my show and it was amazing what they've done. There was a guy who showed how many pills he had, and he was just going to go out and surf and come back and commit suicide. Well, surfing changed his life. And they started this through a place in Texas, even though they're in here outside of Monterey, Santa Cruz area. So
that's outstanding.
Yeah. And then I had another person that would be good for your show and to explain people. And he was a 10-year Marine, and then he got out, and then he was incarcerated for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
What happened was, we won't get into the whole thing, but he did something stupid. And so he created a program to help veterans never get reincarcerated again after they got out. And he created the program, and it got funded by our governor before he got out. So he had to hire somebody to run it until he got out, and now he runs it. And basically what they do is they take, in California, there was vets all over the state, and now they have it in 3 different prisons throughout the state, so they can do the help and get through the PTSD. Because he says you're either going to kill yourself or go to prison. That's your choose, because going to prison is like killing yourself. And he has a TikTok about it, a TED Talk. Get the TikTok on the brain, and he talks about it. He says, it's like taking a Bradley, painting it yellow, and telling it's a school bus. It doesn't know it's a school bus. It goes out there and tears up the streets. Driving, it doesn't know any different. We're tools of war. We need a boot camp out as much as we needed a boot camp in, and we need to deal with that and help people get through these issues. And they haven't. These are, amazing people that I found that are doing amazing things, and there's not a place for them all to come together. So one of the things I'm trying to do, and I'm not trying to make any money off of it, I'm just trying to put it together, and that is, it could be called anything, but I have Helping the Brave, and I was going to use it, but put us one place where everything is located. They can go one place. And I'm not talking Google, because it's always so, but everybody I've interviewed, everything I want to do, everything that's out there by state, like a lady I interviewed, she's like, I have my whole state. You want it? You can have it. I said, fine. I just want to get it out there so people can go to it and find out that information.
Outstanding. What was the name of his nonprofit?
Oh, bear with me here. Keep talking about something else. I gotta find him.
So many nonprofits now made by veterans and those who want to help veterans. It's hard to keep them all in my mind. So
well, the first one was Operation Surf. That was easy. Yeah. This other one, let's see. God, I gotta find him. Keep talking about something else while I do it.
And the numbers of veterans that go to jail is very high. And I know here we have something called Veteran Court, and they just had their graduation yesterday for this last quarter, and 9 veterans and active duty graduated vet court. So if they commit any crime, I think it's only one time you can use vet court. They go through this process of vet court, and by the time they're finished to graduate, it's off their record, and it's basically a clean slate to start over. And they get all the help they need during that time, during the whole process, in order to become the person that they used to be. And I think that's a lot of what everyone's trying to do.
I gotta find him. Because bear with me. I'm sorry. It's one. I should have had that. I don't think it's Veterans Healing Veterans.
I think that's what it is, actually.
Yeah, it is Veterans Healing Veterans. Yeah,
that's the first thing that popped up.
Yeah. So he's down there on that screen, and there's a TED Talk right there on that screen. So it's veteranshealingveterans.com. Listen, and that's where he talks about it. And it's amazing what he's done. Now he was taking this across the country. He's been dealing with the Pentagon and everything else, but he wanted to get back to his original area, right? Because that was what he's there. He was not helping out and doing stuff in his area, because remember, he was actually incarcerated for 23 years. So he understands certain things.
That's a long time too. Wow.
Yeah.
After 10 years in the court and 23 years there, that's 33 years of his life within systems.
Yeah. one would say incarcerated for 33 years.
I didn't want to say the whole thing.
When I was dating my wife, right? We were dating and we were on our first date. And I said I was incarcerated before. She looked at me about right around. I go, I was in the Navy.
I was down at Camp Pendleton, the high desert.
Well, because it is a form. You can't just quit.
Yeah, you can. It just doesn't turn out well for you. Ed, we hit a lot of topics tonight, and the MisFitNation is grateful for everything you've shared with us. What's 3 things our audience can start doing tomorrow to take the steps forward to being financially free and have a better, successful day or life?
Well, one, they can reach out to me and I'll send them my book. I know it's not set up just for veterans, but it talks about credit and all the other stuff and how to improve it. And I'll send it to your listeners for free. They don't have to buy it. It's on Amazon. I don't make any real money. I don't know if you ever if you do a book and you put it on Amazon, you don't make a lot of money. It's not that much. So my goal is to just send them out and get people educated. That's my purpose. So if they reach out to me, I'll send them a copy. That's the first thing they can do. Second thing to do is work on your credit. The credit is the most important thing these days, because of what I didn't talk about is when you buy a home through VA, we don't deal with your debt to income ratio. That means for every dollar you bring in, how many of your cents of that dollar goes towards the mortgage and other debt. We don't deal with that on VA. It's a residual income that's left over, unless you have a lower FICO score, like a 620 or below, then we have to use the DTI. So it takes you out of that whole situation, and people don't understand. I've had ratios that would scare everybody, because most people won't understand what I'm talking about, but most loans, they have a 50% max debt to income ratio or a 56 max, but VA doesn't have one. I've had one as high as 73, 83, you name it, just because they had more money left over than what is needed. So you need to work on the credit. So those are 2 things. And then the third thing is talk to somebody like me.
Awesome. And remember, go to edparcaut.com and he will take care of you. He has every social media is on there. He has all the way out to the only thing I don't see on there is Threads. So that's probably there just hidden. So, well,
because I really don't, I'm on those, pick a few and just do the best you can on them. You can't be everywhere and be 100% everywhere.
You can't. There's no way.
Do you want my Truth Social one too? I'm just kidding. So one of our coaches tells us to get every domain, get your name on everything that comes out. So if you ever pops when the other ones don't, also buy your kids domains with their names if they want to become and do certain things, because everything's going to be gone, and do that for your kids.
And people will steal your name and sell it back to you. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Ed, this has been awesome chatting with you tonight. We said 30 minutes to an hour, and we crushed it. We're 52 minutes, so it's awesome. I'll let you get back to your evening there in Modesto, and I'll spend time with my wife as she winds down from teaching the next generation of America in schools.
And if anybody does any teaching or any instructional stuff where they want to teach people this, just let me know. I'll send you 10, 20, 30 copies of my book. Again, just to get that word out. And again, like I said, I am creating one just for veterans. The only difference is going to be, it's only going to say, talk about what's important to us. It's really not that much different, except for this one talks about different loan programs. It will only talk about the VA loan program.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Ed.
Thank you, sir.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the MisFitNation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.